Hi everybody, I'm here today with Kim Hendle and Tom, and we're at your latest HMO project.
Yep.
Before we start talking about the project, do you want to just tell everybody who Kim is and who Tom is?
Right, well, hi everybody, I'm Kim. I'm sort of retired from business about 4 years ago from corporate world and was given a sum of money to never darken their doorstep again and release some pension money and use that to buy our first HMO. Since then, this is now our third major project. We split the work so that Tom gets involved in the day-to-day running of the projects, and I swan around in my finery. That's why I look like this, and Tom's been doing all the hard work. And I sort out all the other bits, the financing and the tenants and all those kind of things. So that's how we split the work.
So you've got the glory bit and you've got the dirty bit. So Tom, tell me a bit about you. How did you get into this?
So I was studying accountancy at college and thought it'd be a good career path for me, and then me and Kim started talking about property, went to a multiple streams event with Progressive, and my mind was blown over the weekend. And then we just got into property together, started the business in 2016, I think.
Yeah.
And then we bought the first one about 2017. I think we spent a year learning as much as we could, and then like as Kim was saying, I've done do like the planning permission, the project managing, and then bits of labour and stuff like that, and helping out and trying to keep all the trades as happy as I can. Basically, glorify babysitter, I think.
So you've got the really sticky bit of the project, which is herding the cats, the tradesmen, and making sure they stick to building regs and get all the sign-offs and the glory bit.
Just turning up.
Yeah, that's it. That's often the problem. So tell me about the project that we're in today before we go on a little bit of a tour.
We started purchasing this project in March. Yeah.
So that was pre-lockdown, was it?
It was.
Yeah. It was pre-lockdown. So how did you find this? Because pre-lockdown, you could obviously go around and find things on Rightmove and Zoopla, couldn't you?
That's exactly what happened. The estate agent that we bought our first property off gave me a ring and said, Kim, we've got this one that's just come back on the market. I think you need to have a look at it. So we came down and we saw its potential straight away, and after probably the last property we worked on, this one is in a much better condition than the last one. So for us now, looking at sort of stepping it up, our first two projects were 8-bed HMOs. First one, we converted a 3-bed mid-terraced house into an 8-bed all-ensuite HMO, which makes people laugh.
2 kitchens.
Yeah, 2 kitchens. When we tell them that's what they've done, because they've got a vision of a 2-up, 2-down terraced house, slightly bigger than that. So this one will actually be an 11-bed HMO. But as soon as we walked into the property, we could see what we could do to it and how we could quite easily turn this one into an 11-bed and 2 kitchens. So
the last two, this one and the last one, were all three of them were in Article 4, but this one and the last one had planning permission to be HMOs already. We just tweaked the plans slightly, so didn't have to worry about that really.
Excellent.
Yeah, so we started buying in March. The valuer came round on the 17th of March to have a look at the property, and of course, just as we received the valuation for it, we then went into lockdown, which was...
Did that cause any problems?
Yes. It most certainly did. And understandably, with people then being asked to work from home, not having all the right equipment, access to information that they would normally have inside an office, it made it very difficult for the people that were working for the finance companies, because they also didn't have people around them to ask all the questions. So it became a very long and protracted process. However, on the plus side, because it took so long, we managed to apply for and gain access to change it from a 9-bed to an 11-bed. So
you uplifted the value
Yeah.
whilst you were sorting the finance out.
Yes,
Brilliant.
Yeah, and had it still valued at its original costs, the original 9-bed. So instead of us buying it in March and then having the finance clock tick away for 6 months before we could actually get in and start doing something with it, fortunately, when we purchased it, we had planning, so we could move straight in.
Yeah, day one.
Yeah, and start work on it.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that was, that's a plus side. Yeah.
So what have been the big challenges then? Finance raising from the sounds of it,
Yes.
sorting the planning out during the lockdown?
Actually, I have to say, Northampton Borough Council have been great.
Yeah.
Over this this period of time. We've run them and asked them what was happening, and they apologised and said we're now having to work from home. We haven't actually got access to all of the services that we need, all the information, but they were extremely good, and I think they were probably a week late on providing the information for.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
It's fairly good timing.
That's pretty
so
good.
normally
Yeah.
you get what, sort of 58 days or something?
Yeah, I can't. Is it like 6
Oh.
weeks or something?
Yeah.
Given that Northampton's an Article 4 area and was one of the first Article 4s in the country,
Yeah.
you've done very well with that, especially given that the Article 4 border is how close to this property?
Well, yeah, this is well inside Article 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, can't knock Northampton Borough Council for the delivery. They went through the process in their normal time, with the exception of about 4 or 5 days. But like I said, considering when they first started, they hadn't got access to anything. They did a good job. So I'm not going to pass any comment negatively about them. They were great. Finance, however, was a whole different thing.
Because we had the finance in place before pre-COVID. Had loan and contracts agreed with investors. Everything was running smoothly, and then when the uncertainty hit, the investors pulled back. Were nervous. We were a bit nervous ourselves. Didn't know whether it was a good idea to purchase, as the rules were changing daily. No one knew what was happening, but so through that process, we had to raise finance in different ways. But we're in here now, so
Yeah.
it's
Superb.
worked out.
So shall we go and show everybody the project and what's involved and have a little talk through the befores and what the plans are? Because I've been here before and it's a monster of a building, isn't it?
Yeah, well, for us, this one's actually quite nice because it's sort of oblong, and everything is. Unlike some of our other projects, we've got long, windy corridors, and it's a bit disparate. This is a nice. It's all contained in a very nice area, so it's good for us, this one.
Excellent.
All right, so do you want to lead on?
Yeah.
So we've just been talking about your HMO conversion, and we're here on the first floor of your building. And I can see you've already started sort of doing a little bit of a rip out. There's not much of a ceiling here, is there? So do you want to sort of talk me through what you are doing? Because I can see a bath behind you, but I'm not sure you're going to get many tenants in here that want that one.
No, I don't think they'll like that one, to be honest with you.
No, so what's happening? You're obviously in a strip out phase.
Yeah. So currently just gutting the property. It will be full rewire and replumb. So eventually all the cables and everything, all this plumbing, the lot will be gone, and this will become one of the 2 kitchens for the 11 tenants.
So we've currently got a shower hanging on a wall. Which, if that's a shower, are you standing in a shower tray, Kim?
I am. Yeah, which when we first moved in, or first came in here, we thought we had a problem with leakage because it's a bit on the wobbly side. Then we found out it's actually a plastic floor-based shower tray. So, and not supported by a great deal underneath it. But, it's not too bad, but it is coming out.
Yeah.
And will be replaced by proper flooring, and not quite so bouncy. This will go. The area that Tom's standing in now with the bathroom, that's actually going to become the
Laundry room.
The laundry room. So we're going to have the washing machines, tumble dryers, storage unit. We might still keep a separate toilet in there so that we've got a spare one for people that are in the kitchen.
Yeah.
They don't have to run up and down to the bedrooms. But it's going to be a whole sort of not a workspace, a clean laundry area for them. So we'll block this up, make it separate, and this will be a kitchen diner.
So this will be a communal kitchen diner. Is that for this floor?
It's for the second and first floors.
Second and first.
And then of course we'll have the one in the kitchen where we were sat earlier.
Yeah.
That will be for the ground and basement areas. Yeah.
Okay.
So it'll be a 5 and a 6.
So you've effectively got a 4-storey building here that you're converting into a HMO.
Yeah.
I mean, what sort of advice can you give to somebody who's thinking of setting out and doing one of these HMOs for the first time? Do you suggest they come and get a monster building like this, big 11-bedder, or do you think they should start smaller?
I think that depends on the risk appetite that you people have in the first place, and whether they've had any form of formal training, education, and the contacts that they may have. If I pulled somebody straight in off the street that, like us, had never done anything like this before, then I would not suggest they go through this. Tom and I had the benefit of being mentored, getting education before we took on our first HMO, and we had lots of contacts, more experienced people that we could talk to. They came round and saw the properties, gave us some hints and tips and advice before we started. So that's why for us going straight into something that was an 8-bed was not so much a problem. But if you didn't have the grounding that we had to start with, then no, I wouldn't suggest you take it on unless you know somebody who does it for a living.
Yeah. So what you're effectively saying is you went and got some knowledge, but then you hired in the experience through a mentor or a coach to give you the benefit of their experience to leapfrog the steps.
Yeah. And as we still do now, with you coming around today and the conversations that we've had with you, you've given us other ideas of things that we probably wouldn't have thought about or we've not seen before, but you've done in your properties that have worked, so you've passed that information on to us. So we can now put that into here and benefit from that kind of, words of wisdom from somebody who's been there and done that. Okay. So, that's the benefit of knowing the right kind of people and being involved with people that are doing the same things but are ahead of you, have been there, done that, and got the t-shirts. Exactly.
Do you have the same sort of thought process with if you're going to do 2 small ones, 2 4-beds, you got to purchase 2 properties, develop 2 properties, and do the same amount of work, but it will take you a lot longer. And then if you're doing it all in one hit, you can compact the price down. The more bathrooms you buy, the more discount you can get. So as long as you've got the knowledge, it's probably maybe jumping a bit higher, but definitely don't do it without the knowledge.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, doing it on one site from a management perspective, it's easier because you're not going to 2 buildings, etc. as well.
It's easier for our plumber and electrician to rewire and replumb a property of this size than it is for them to mess about with a 4-bed house or a 3-bed house and try and convert that into something. Yeah. So, that's why the ceilings are down, to be able to rewire and replumb without having to pull up all the floorboards, because trying to get floorboards to go back down in the right place is a nightmare, and we've tried that before. But to be able to run the pipework and the electrics now that the ceilings are down, and then be able to put in the insulation and the fireboarding and everything else to go back onto it, is that much easier. And we know then where everything else is where everything is in the property. When things go wrong, when pipes burst, something happens, we know where it is.
And if you have any problems, all of your 8 tenants, 11 tenants are in one building, so it's a lot easier than having smaller properties dotted everywhere in that respect.
Yeah. And obviously, as you're doing the works, take the photographs of where the plumbing and the cables and stuff is, and for future maintenance, you've got a manual that you can give to your handyman and they can see where everything is.
Yeah.
So that's brilliant. I mean, Tom, you started out saying you trained as an accountant, and now you're managing building sites. What sort of, how have you managed to transition?
Yeah, so I just like to know everything that's going on, basically. So the first project, I was there every day asking questions, learning as much as I could, so I can absorb as much knowledge to take on to future projects, and then found out I really enjoyed that side of the business instead of dealing with the numbers, which just not great.
Yeah.
So you much prefer getting dirty and dusty and going home for a shower than playing with a calculator?
Yeah, that's it.
I can relate to that one myself.
Yeah.
So any tips, final tips that you'd like to share with anybody from your experience on this or other projects that you're doing? Because we'll come back and revisit this and see how it's come on in leaps and bounds in a few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Tips or advice? Don't do it. Just like sometimes be brave and just dive in. If you spend too long in an hour in, you might miss out on opportunities, but also make sure you're educated with your choices. But if you get an idea and you want to go for it, just get stuck in, guns blazing, and you'll be okay.
Overcome your fear and have somebody hold your hand. I call it putting stabilisers on.
The biggest thing for me is building up a network of people that you can go to, have conversations with. We've had people come around to see our other properties and they've learnt from what we've been through. We've been round to other people who are ahead of the game, to us, and we've learnt from them and taken those ideas and put them into use in our places. So it's not just the doing up of the property, it's making sure that you're in contact with people that have been there, done that, got those t-shirts, know what they're doing, because they will help you hugely.
Yeah.
One thing we found about property and people in property is that they're always very, very happy to pass on hints, tips, and help out, novice investors. And we were those novice investors. When I look back at how much we knew about property, other than sort of liking it and buying my own property, we've never done anything like this.
No.
And I wish I'd had this opportunity when I was his age.
Yeah.
It would have been fantastic. But because of the people that we've got to know and the contacts, without those, we wouldn't have achieved anywhere near as much, and not as well as we have done.
Well, definitely more problems along the way.
Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Well, I was going to say, people can catch up with you when network meetings start again at the Northampton PPN, and you meet on the third Tuesday of the month as well, don't you? As well. So hook up with Tom and hook up with Kim, and we'll be back here to follow your project and see how you progress and cover any of the snags that you might encounter.
Yeah, we're always willing to pass on our learning points, and I'm sure there will be plenty. And you're welcome to come back anytime, Andrew.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure to see you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Likewise.